If you thought I was late pulling the trigger, I was. Sorry about that, everybody. But we don't have an intro this week. We don't have a flavor intro. Actually, we do, but it's a reused one. But we're talking about, I'll do it later, but we're talking about more career path stuff, supercharging your career and hiring problems coming up on OT Exposed. Raw!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
That's right. Career path, education, all that good stuff. Those are the words. This whole skills gap. That's the word. I didn't have a banner for skills gap, but skills gap. That's the word that people are using wrong. You don't think it means what you think it means. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm actually going to use our flavor video this week right before we introduce our guests. I've reused it before, so I got to do it different. But anyway, yes, I got a different hat on this week. I got my Astros hat because the Astros are in the playoffs. I'm from Houston, of course. And I'm a little upset because who the hell's idea was it? Or who's the hell? Anyway, whose stupid idea was it to put the playoffs in the middle of the day? The game 1 and game 2 of the playoffs in the middle of the day, in the middle of the work week. I'm a little salty about that because I'm actually skipping that. I was going to go to the game today, and I skipped it so I can be here with you guys and talk about OT stuff or cybersecurity stuff and career paths. So I'm here instead. And I had to miss it yesterday because I was at HughesCon, or unless you want to, we'll talk about that later. But it was a good day. I'm glad I was at HughesCon for the week, but I was a little sad. I had to miss another Astros game. We were literally across the street at HughesCon from Minute Maid Park. Didn't get to go. That's okay. Let's go ahead and bring in, I wanted to say all this ahead of time before we brought in Pascal, because Pascal doesn't really care about the Astros, and probably most of our audience doesn't either. But I know our guest does, so we'll bring Pascal in first. Our host with the most, co-host with the most, because I'm no longer the most.
Hey. Did you know this is episode number 20?
It is.
That means we've been doing this close to half a year. And your face still surprises me every time we get on.
What about
that? that's either for the good or for the bad. It depends on the episode. But now I'm happy to be back again. We're doing this again. Another great topic. Exchange you do a great topic, right? Because we've been touching on this for a couple of times, and there's still a lot of confusion and a lot of skills gap out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of meat on this bone, right? I mean, we've talked about this twice already, and it just seems like every single time that we touch on anything to do with cybersecurity workforce, hiring, career path, and all of that, it seems like that we just get a huge audience, and we get a lot of response, and that's what people want to talk about right now. And I know that our friends over at Simply Cyber. And I'm that's a shameless plug, but I'm not going to give myself the shameless plug because we're plugging somebody else. But Gerald Ogier at Simply Cyber has an entire channel for the cybersecurity career path, and just released a book, which is Cybersecurity Career Master Plan. Highly recommend it. I'm going to do a review on it, released next week. And so I don't want to take away from shows like that in channels like that. But what is spurring us to do this is my talk at HughesCon yesterday was, HughesCon, or if you really want to get under Michael Farnham and Sam Van Ryder's skin, housecookacon.org. Anyway, those of you that are Jeff Dunham fans. But so the talk that I did was about it was called Hacking the Cybersecurity Workforce, especially OT. And it was really about primarily how to build your brand, how to create and supercharge your career, how to create your brand and use it to supercharge your career. And that's something that you and I both have experience with, Pascal, which is, writing books and contributing to the community. And we've been doing this a long time. And so I wanted to use our experience to help folks that are in either newcomers in the industry or in the industry and want to take their career further, and how to create your brand and how to build your brand and all that. And so we'll be talking about some of this. And I want to extend the topic that I talked about in HuSecCon with that type of information. And I think actually I might end up going on an episode of Simply Cyber. I talked to Jerry about it. We might talking about kind of how to build a brand. And I think that's really important in this career field. Is you don't have to want to know how to. You don't have to want to make a name for yourself. You don't have to have an ego about it. But building your brand is one of the best ways to compete in this industry and really get noticed and just get your craft out there. And so, that's one of the topics I want to cover moving forward in the future and things like that, just to help build up this workforce. So, I mean, before we get our guest on, what just kind of in short, what techniques did you use to build your brand? I mean, obviously writing a book, 2 of them now, or 3.
Yep.
Shit.
This is number 3. Yeah. I'm very excited. I don't think we're going to touch it on this episode, but at sometime in the future, we'll talk about what the second edition, or actually the second volume, is all about. But yeah, that's one, writing a book. That's not something everybody can do, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you have to have the drive to do it, right? But just getting out there, I typically say getting your brand is just giving back to the community. So you've been taking a lot from the community. You've been reading posts. You're doing articles. You're looking at these free webinars on YouTube. You've been following along with exercises from other people. Now start giving back. If you found something particularly useful, or you found a different way that you approach one of these training sessions, post it. Bring it out there and start giving back to the community, and start talking to people, start connecting with people. And over time, you'll notice that there's a certain trend, there's certain people that you click with, and then that's what's called making your brand aware out there. Yeah, and I think that I mentioned it yesterday in the talk, which was, that's how Metasploit was created. The world's most famous exploitation framework, Metasploit, was created that way, right? I mean, H.D. Moore sat in his basement writing a free tool, and it went viral and became huge, and now he's rich and famous. So, so contributing and things like that. So, much more to come in episodes now in the future about building your brand. I wanted to add really quickly is that I've been working for a couple of really large companies now, and what they have in common all is that they promote you to make a brand. It either internally throughout their channels and with your colleagues, or also extend that to like a LinkedIn profile. God forbid you still like Facebook, put it out there. But a lot of big companies are promoting, expanding, and setting up your brand. Yep, exactly. And so that said, today's episode is about kind of building your cybersecurity career and both the pitfalls and successes. We're going to hear from a recent college graduate. So because he is a recent college graduate and hasn't really totally entered the workforce yet, I can't give him like the sarcastic, nice, funny intro that I give a lot of our guests, because I don't want to scare him out of the workforce before he even joins. So instead, we're gonna give him like a movie trailer type thing. But we've used this one before, but we're gonna give him a special intro. So here we go.
Yak, yak, yak. Get a job.
And I am.
Do you even know what it's like to be 21 right now? I mean, a quarter of the kids coming out of college can't even get jobs.
That's a correct statistic. Mother says you can work hard and go to the right school, but nothing is guaranteed anymore. That's life. Sorry.
These guys are right. The whole American dream thing that you guys grew up on, that's all it is nowadays. A dream. We're not gonna get these jobs, and our lives are basically ruined.
Reporting for duty.
We don't have a job for you.
What do you mean?
I mean, we don't have a job for you.
I am broke. I can't believe I have to sell my TV.
Will, you got the job.
Oh, yo, wait, come back.
All you have to do is take a drug test.
Drug test? Was it multiple choice?
That's right. Everybody, welcome Kevin Flowers. I hope that you studied for your piss test because it's coming.
And it's not multiple choice.
Oh no!
It's fill in the blank.
What's up, guys? Good
Yeah,
to see
so
everyone again. A long time no see.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, we virtually saw each other last week, but I mean, and maybe that's a long time to you. But it is a long time since seeing you in person because one thing about Kevin is that so Kevin was one of the first beta testers of Red versus Blue. Yeah, that's a shameless plug, but I'm not gonna give myself the plug right now. That sounded bad, didn't it? Anyway, so so yeah, but because Red versus Blue actually got started in I think it was HughesCon in 2018, and Dr. Conklin was there and kind of was the first alpha iteration of it, and then wanted to use it in the class. So we started using Red versus Blue and the cybersecurity class at University of Houston. And so you were there, and I think you were the class mascot or something, or you were responsible for the computers.
Yeah,
you were responsible for the computers and setting it all up. And so we essentially got free labor out of you guys beta testing our product for us, and so that's been successful.
It's a really cool test. It was fun. Yeah, I was the cybersecurity lab manager at that point. So yeah, Clint and I were, or you and I were working hand in hand to get that all off the ground. And it was for the SCADA class, and it was a big success. Everyone loved it.
We're definitely going to talk about that SCADA class more here in a minite.
Everybody loves SCADA. Everybody loves SCADA.
Especially when you call it OT, right? I mean, that's
or ICS.
Yeah,
critical infrastructure.
Well, back in the early 2000s, all industrial systems were just SCADA. That's everybody called it just SCADA. That's what it was, unless you were an actual engineer. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Kevin. I know that you are a recent graduate from University of Houston with your master's in cybersecurity, right?
There it is. There it is. Yep.
On your shoulder. Mr. Diploma on your shoulder.
No, it was it's been a journey, but it was a really good journey. And so yeah, I graduated just this last May, and go Cougs. It was a great experience. Got to meet some really cool people that I met you through them, through Dr. Conklin. Got to meet Pascal through you, so I think that's one of the things about university. It is what you make of it, of course. You've got to really go out there and set yourself apart. And I was fortunate to kind of be living and studying in the cybersecurity lab. That's how I got that gig. But it's just making the most of it. And I've got to meet some amazing people through it. Yeah, but
aside from me and Pascal.
Yeah. I thought we'd scare you off for sure, but hey, here you are.
Yeah, I keep on coming back.
One of the things that I talked about in my conversation or my presentation yesterday was that experience can come from anywhere, right? I mean, most people don't get out of college with 20 years of experience like some of these job requirements want, right? I mean, entry-level position, 3 to 5 years of experience. Yeah. However, you can, and my point was that anything that you do, volunteer work or lab work or whatever, you can put that on your resume. And to me, as a hiring manager, that counts as experience. So what kind of things did you do there? I mean, you said a little bit with the lab, but what did you do, and what opportunities did you take advantage of that you could claim as experience?
Yeah. Apart from working at the university, so I did research there. I was the lab manager. I've done project management like for my classes. So, it's smaller, but IT projects. And then there was always Cyberforce. Cyberforce was the DOE competition at Argonne National Labs. That was, a transformative experience and showed just how intense this whole cybersecurity thing can be. But it was addicting. I've attended it since. It was kind of weird attending it during COVID, but I don't know. I say during, but still kind of going through it. But yeah, so when I attended, was it 2020? It was just all solo, which is kind of weird. It was a different experience, but you still have to use that time management skill. You still have to do the reverse engineering, the crypto stuff. So it's still awesome. And then since then, I've been listening to you guys streams, doing the
sorry.
Oh, no.
So you're the one. You're the one.
There's got to be someone to press that like button. No, and just trying to stay involved with the community. So the OT Exposed, what was it, Cyber Insecurity stream, and just picking everyone's brain to learn as much as you can. But yeah, I mean, university was definitely, you can just go through it and get your degree and great, you've got the piece of paper. But if you're not actually actively searching out different opportunities and taking advantage of the ones that present themselves, learning about all your professors, getting to build those good relationships with people goes so far. And, for any other college grads out there or soon to be grads, you have to pick your professor's brains. You got to just meet everyone you can, and you never know. I mean, I've had the most success finding, getting interviews, doing all that, finding potential employment opportunities, not from just shotgunning the resume out there, but that's part of it. There's got to be that hunt. But
I think we call it networking. Yeah. I think that's the word you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
So what has the job search been like for you since you graduated?
Yeah, a lot of what you mentioned, the 5 to 7 years of whatever tool that just came out 3 years ago, and yeah, all that good stuff. It's been a little tough here and there. I feel like if you're a C-level exec or whatever, you're the CISO somewhere else, you pretty much have it made right now. But if you're trying to break in, you really have to set yourself apart and have the home lab like Mr. Ackerman over there is all about. Yeah, it's serious. You have to prove that you can do stuff, not that you got that or what am I doing?
The other side.
I know it's that one.
I struggle with that so much.
Well, you're not going to be on videos anymore anytime soon. Just kidding.
Dyslexic or something.
So, I mean, do you find that it's a case of, is it really competitive? Are there just that many people out there, or is it an issue of the job requirements are a little excessive, or a combination of both? I mean,
for the bigger companies, there's always going to be a lot of competition. So your Halliburtons, your Chevrons, there's only so many cybersecurity roles that they have available. So for those guys, yeah, it's competitive, and you also have to have a laundry list of qualifications and stuff. So whatever, you'll work there, you'll get there at some point. But I think it is that, and also a fundamental disconnect on like the requirements. If it's an entry-level position, why are we putting on there 5-10 years of experience? It's just not going to happen that way.
Have you walked away because of that, or being turned off, scared because of the requirements, or you're still applying?
Yeah, I still apply.
Okay.
I kind of remember someone saying, like, if you meet every single requirement that they have on there, you're probably a little overqualified. So you got to give yourself room to grow. At least that's my mentality. And if they don't like it, sorry.
No, that's a good
one
point.
of the biggest in shows we've had about career development in the past, as well as some of the questions that I had after my talk yesterday. Some of the biggest questions I get would be like tips and tricks on your resume, and I had 4 different people after my talk yesterday come up to me and ask me if I'd look at their resume and give them tips. I'm like, I will, but email it to me. I can't do it right now. Sorry. But in the same thing with the last show we had talking about the career path, and I think you were actually backstage on that one, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you were. When people were asking questions about resume tips, and our viewers were posting comments. So let's talk, I think, a little bit about some tips and tricks, from your perspective, things that you've done with your resume that you found success with. And I think Pascal and I can talk about things that, as either hiring managers we want to see, or in the past, what we've done on our resumes. And those of you that were in my talk yesterday, I'm not talking about social engineering my way into getting a job. That's a different story. But we'll talk about kind of things that we've seen that are successful. And so what have you done, Kevin, that you found success with, or things that you shouldn't have done?
Yeah. So the one thing that you shouldn't do, or that I've found, is you shouldn't just be super stuck on your resume. You should never be like, all right, this is my resume, not going to tweak it. This is set in stone, because it's not. It should be a living document. You should always be adding stuff, within reason, But if you're learning stuff, if you're going after certifications, if you're working on your home lab, if you're, it should just reflect who you are and what you're doing. But yeah, I thought I had a good resume. I had Dr. Conklin help me out developing it. That was, I was still working at the university. So I was like, okay, this is a pretty good setup. I'm happy with this. But it turned out, after doing career fairs, what's going on? After doing career fairs from the College of Technology, one of the counselors, the advisors were like, you should actually probably do some of these tweaks, because it's just kind of convoluted. There's a little bit, you're not using those action verbs to start off describing your stuff. It's just little things that I totally spaced on. And you need that person with a little bit of experience. It's like, oh, okay, you should phrase it this way. You should put your master's above your bachelor's degree. You should have your GPA, blah, blah, blah. So we don't know it all, and those people that know what the hiring managers or what the HR folks are looking for, their input's invaluable. So yeah, it's not set in stone. Tweak it. Don't be afraid of that. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's great advice. just getting a second opinion, somebody professional. Maybe even if you really run into roadblocks, maybe even having somebody professional, a paid service to look at it, right? Have an overview with that. Absolutely.
I'm not a fan of paid services. Me personally, I've always been told that, there's a difference between a paid service creating your resume and maybe a paid service giving you advice. But I would rather
not creating, just making sure that you're up to par, because for a lot of people, not for a lot, but people who haven't updated their resume in a long time, things have changed. The layout, the way people look at your resumes is different. So just have it a set of eyes. But yeah, it should come from your own hand, but it should be reviewed by somebody who knows what the landscape is out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, because if you don't have enough discipline or passion about what you do to write your own resume, I don't want you writing shit for me. It's like, the bottom line is that, I had a guy one time submit his resume to me, and he said there was something wrong on it or something like that. And he said, oh, this is misspelled or whatever. There was something wrong. And he said, yeah, the service that created my resume messed this up or whatever. And like, I know this was an a-hole mood, but I immediately, right then and there, I took his resume, dumped it in the trash, and I said, have a nice day. And I said, I'm not going to interview. Number one, you should have checked that. Number two, you're blaming it on somebody else. Number three, you didn't create your own resume. I mean, and so that it's just do it yourself, but have people look at it, have people proofread it for you, have experienced people that are hiring managers or people that have had success with their resumes look at it. And Pascal's right. Times have changed and different people expect different things. I mean, grammar's changed. I mean, I remember when I first started grammar, you put 2 spaces after a period. Now you put 1, and there's different times when you put a comma or don't put a comma, and irregardless or regardless, who knows? But I mean, so
you know what? I can't be bothered about those nuances, right?
Yeah.
But you get.
Well, you barely speak English, so
I just learned last week. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so anyway, I think Pascal, what are some of the things that I have some of the things I want to talk about, but I want to hear from Pascal before, in case he already has some of the things that I have, so I don't have to talk so much. But what are some things you've had?
I might actually be the wrong person to talk to.
Oh, Kevin, what's up?
No,
Kevin
I was going to say,
up.
while we're still on the whole like resume, topic, I feel like we should mention Mr. Auger, or who was it? Gentleman
Gerald Ozier,
yeah. But yeah, on his website, he's got some really good cybersecurity oriented templates, like resume templates, and also the University of Houston offers those. I'm sure most universities do, and they have people that'll look it over. So you just got to take advantage of the stuff that's out there and leverage every advantage you have. And that's all I had to say about that.
And don't be afraid to ask for feedback, right? Let's say you have applied and it's like, is there something else I could have done? Is there something wrong with the resume? Just ask. And I know from experience, most will actually say or will not respond to that because they're done with you and they move on. But there's this occasional person, like you.
Yep.
That one.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you have the occasional fantastic resource that will come back and say, hey, maybe you should have done this or that, or to highlight what you do. But in general, I like what you said. Take a template and fill in your own specific strengths, and less is more. And a lot of times, keep it short because these people get 10, 15, 20, 100 resumes. Get to the point really quick, put that on the top, make sure that everything you want them to know right away is in the first couple of sentences right there.
Put your strengths first.
And that's actually the only advice I can give, because apart from my last job, all the other ones have actually been either because I was networking with people or because my LinkedIn profile was up to date. So the previous two positions, huge. LinkedIn, networking, and just knowing people that can help you push through the red tapes.
Yeah, put your strengths at top. Also, if you're tailoring your resume, well, let me before I talk about tailoring your resume, replicate your resume on LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile should be your resume, the stuff you've done, your experience or whatever. And that can stay pretty static, right? So that's about you. And you can actually be a little more verbose on your LinkedIn profile about what you've done, because that's not the thing people are grabbing 20, 50, 100 of to look through. That's a LinkedIn profile. So you can advertise yourself more thoroughly on LinkedIn. But the same principle applies. Put your most recent experience first, but you put your strengths there. But LinkedIn, you can't really order it. On your resume, okay, let's go back to that. Put your strengths first. When you're tailoring your resume, like Kevin said, you should tweak it, but not just tweak it but based on advice. You should take a job requirements, sheet or whatever the job is, whatever the job requirements are enlisted, whichever of those you match, put those at top. The job requirements that you match and the ones you're strongest at, put at the very top, so that they see, look, this person is exactly what we're looking for right at the top, right? So that's definitely something you want to do. And then because one of the guys that I'm not gonna mention his name. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name, so I won't. But and it's actually somebody I've known for a while. He mentioned in my talk yesterday about and a lot of the times HR recruiters and HR departments just have keyword searches on a resume. So that's another reason when you want to make sure you put those requirements of the job in your resume to make sure that it picks up on those keywords. And so, that's probably the biggest advice I can give you is putting the requirements up there, putting your strengths first, making sure the keywords that are in the requirements are listed in that resume. I mean, that's the biggest things. And then network. Make sure your LinkedIn profile reflects your resume, and then network, connect to people. And speaking of the networking and connection with people, it's once you start connecting with people, it snowballs. It has a domino effect because now LinkedIn has it to where, and I don't know if it's a professional feature or anyone can, but if you're second connections with someone, you can request a connection without having to have an invite or something about that person, like an email or a phone number or something like that. So once you start connecting with people, then you're going to be second connections. Here's a hint, everyone. I love connecting with college graduates. I love connecting with other cybersecurity people. I love connecting with people that I can help in their career. I have like, I think Pascal has like 8,000 followers. I have over 5,000 followers now. He's better than me. Anyway, but between the two of us, and we probably have a lot of overlap, but between the two of us who have 13,000 followers, you connect with Pascal, you connect with me, you're going to be second level with like 10 to 13,000 people in the cybersecurity industry, because on my LinkedIn profile, and you should do the same, my LinkedIn profile, I don't accept like dentists and lawn care guys and or my babysitter or whatever. Yes, I still have a babysitter. Anyway, so actually it's for my kids. But anyway, I only accept connections on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional profile. It's not Facebook. It's not Instagram. So I only accept cybersecurity interested people. Even okay. So if my lawn guy says, hey, I want to get into cybersecurity, okay, then I'll accept it. So, but if you're interested in cybersecurity, I'll accept you, and then your network grows. So there's a hint, but if you don't have a picture on your profile, I'm not accepting you. Put a picture on your profile. That's just professional, right?
My dog.
What's the difference between the picture and your picture? Anyway, yeah. So
we both drool.
That's true. But make sure you put a picture on your profile, make sure it's professional, update your profile, because I won't accept people. Even if you say I'm a cybersecurity student and you don't have a picture and your profile's not fleshed out, I'm not going to accept you. So make your profile professional, put some effort into it, and I'll accept you. And I want to help people in their career too. So that's my soapbox, and I'm getting off.
See, I'm not as picky with accepting. If we only share one or two connections, I'll double look before I accept. But if we share a lot of connection, that's an automatic yes. But then on top of that, if I notice that you got some weird stuff going on, you're posting stuff that I don't like, then I have no problem deleting that connection as well.
That's why he and I are no longer first level connections.
No, you got all this weird stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, so, let's talk about that, from your perspective, Kevin. And, I actually haven't looked at your profile in a while. Like, what did you have any difficulties without experience being a student, or any hangups about your LinkedIn profile and your connection and your connections and things like that?
No, not really. Building the profile just took an afternoon or whatever, and you really got to keep it pretty true to your resume. But like you were saying, you can definitely go in and talk a little bit more about yourself and kind of give whoever might stumble across your page a little bit more of a feel for how and who you are. But no, that's the one thing I will say. The whole cybersecurity community, almost everyone that we've had on the stream has been super receptive for as far as like being added, just for a recent grad. Everyone's super nice. You just reach out, say, hey, I saw you on this stream, just go for it. But don't try to game the system. There was something on cyber insecurity about that you should do that 1,000-person challenge, and I'm totally on board with it. I think that's really good, because once you know the Clint, or once you connect with the Clints or the Pascals of the world, you just open so many doors into, possibly connecting with other professionals out there. And cybersecurity is a team effort anyway. Yeah. So the more people the more people you can rub shoulders with and learn from, the better. So yeah, I didn't really have any issues generating my LinkedIn. But it does get hits. There are plenty of people looking. So it's definitely an asset.
That's a great point. This community is really good about helping people, right? This is not the cybersecurity or the hacker community of the 90s, where you're going to jump on a bulletin board system and get flamed for asking questions, right? I mean,
LinkedIn is the bulletin board.
Yeah, that's true. That is the new BBS, right?
And I think that is in most, because, and I'm not talking about the old timers, right? The 90s hackers that are famous before they joined LinkedIn, but most of those folks are out there. They reached out to the network themselves, and this is how they started. They went out and they got introduced, and they connected with other people, so they're ready to give back now. So that's the second generation connections they establish, right? They're ready now to give back to the community that helped them get their goals.
Exactly. Speaking of 90s, I guess that's more 80s, but anybody know what game that is back there?
What is that? No, I can't.
Anybody in our audience?
A Mission Commander. That is that Mission Commander?
Mm-mm.
That's before my time.
I don't know if Aaron's watching. Aaron should know what it is. Oh, you can see it right there. You can see it right there.
Gorf.
Gorf. There it is. Yeah, Gorf. I forgot about that game until I was reading a book series, listening to audiobooks. A series that our lead developer and one of the founders of ThreatGen, he recommended. It's the Magic 2.0 series, and the first book is called Off to Be the Wizard. It's an interesting book, but the guy in there is like one of the guys. He has a Gorf video game in his lab, if you will. And so I was like, oh yeah, Gorf, I got to put that game up next time we do our stream. Anyway,
I guess I have more of a life than you because I don't know the game. Maybe less of a life. I don't know.
Well, but when did you grow up? You didn't grow up in the U.S. though as a kid.
No.
And so, I grew up playing in arcades at the mall and having an Atari and all these games. I grew up on all these games, right? I mean, you had wooden shoes. You didn't have arcades, right?
We did the same thing. That's why I said missile control. We would do missile control with wooden shoes.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the thrower, not the.
On how you played mission control. Anyway, we're not gonna go there. Yeah. So, your video game was trying to keep the water in the dam from leaking, right? By plugging it with your finger, and
I was running out of fingers and toes at some point. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's quit digressing here before all of our viewers drop off. So. Okay, there's another thing that we talked about yesterday in my talk. And by the way, if you were at I know we already have somebody here that said that they were at my talk yesterday. So thank you, Alex, for being there. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody that was at my talk. And I appreciate you saying it was insightful. And Pascal, some of your employees were there. I mean, not your employees, your coworkers were there. I know.
Coworkers.
So the one of the things we talked about was building your brand. Since we started off this show talking about that, one of the ways to build your brand, and like I said, how HD Moore created Metasploit and built his brand was to contribute. I said the number one thing that I did for my career was I wrote a book. And actually, even before that was that I said I was going to write a book and posted it on a website and everything. And that actually really got a lot of attention, but because the topic was so hot at the time. So I recommend everyone write a book. And in fact, Pascal, I have an idea that whenever we're going to have an episode where we kind of talk, you mentioned this earlier, where we're going to have an episode to where we talk about your latest book, right?
Yep.
And on that episode, I would also like to have Gerald as our guest on that one, Gerald Ozier. So we have 3 authors and or get Joel Lanchel back on, basically have 3 authors on the show and then talk about the different experiences we've had writing a book and how to write a book and the best way to go to get published and all that stuff. I think that would be helpful for people that want to write a book, because writing a book and getting published officially, anybody can write a book and publish it on Lulu or whatever, right? But really getting published and writing, that has launched people's careers. And I recommend people do that. Even if you don't like writing, I mean, if you have money, you can hire a ghostwriter and you just talk to them interview style and they write the book for you. But you do the work, do the interview. But writing a book is probably the best thing you can do for your career. But even if you don't want to write a book, you don't like writing, it's not for everybody, because Pascal and I will both tell you, writing the book was probably one of the worst professional experiences we've gone through. we both hate writing books. I hate writing in general now because
Me too.
of writing.
I don't want to do it.
It sucks, but it's good for your career and it's good for the community. I mean, getting your knowledge, your information out there, right? So the one and you don't do it for the money. You know, I write for the Hacking Exposed series, and I did not make a lot of money off that book. I'm still making pennies every quarter, but you don't make a lot of money writing a book for a major publisher.
My car that I bought from the book, it was built in the USSR. So
shut up. So you know, you'll get like anywhere from a $5,000 to $10,000 advance from a major publisher. And then that'll go towards future royalties. And then, you know, you'll get a few $100s to a few $1,000s every quarter. So, I mean, it's not enough to live on, but it's a nice vacation sometimes or something like that. Right. But ultimately, if you're going to write a book, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to write a book, you can't do it just for your career and you can't do it for the money for sure. But if you're only writing a book for your career, it's not going to succeed. You have to truly have passion for what you're writing about because it will show in your writing. If your passion and knowledge doesn't show up in your book, it's going to fail. So you have to do it for more than just your career. But boosting your career is a huge benefit of writing a book and getting published. But in order to write a book that does boost your career, you have to and get published through a major publisher, you have to do it for the right reason, which is to show your passion and to give back to the community. So that's a segue into, if you don't want to write a book, what are some other ways that you can showcase your talent, your skills, and give back to the community? Pascal, for 200.
Writing tools.
That's right. Oh, there you go. But we just talked about that, right? Metasploit, right? But okay. So let's talk about
it. It doesn't have to be Metasploit because Metasploit is huge, right? It's massive.
Metasploit didn't start off huge, right? Metasploit started off as a small tool.
But even a small script that a lot of people can use, and it's just like very handy to quickly import something, just to make somebody's life a little easier. Something you probably did yourself to make your own life easier.
Exactly.
Then put it out on GitHub.
That's where it starts. That's where it starts. It starts with, I'm trying to do something like one of the first tools that I wrote was like, so it starts with something you enjoy, right? So my first job in cybersecurity, my first real cybersecurity job, let's say, was with Symantec. And I was an SQA engineer to start off with, where I wrote Perl scripts. And again, that's what I talked about yesterday. I didn't know Perl when I got the job. And Chad, if you ever listen to this, sorry, dude, I social engineered you, man. You had no business hiring me, but you knew that, didn't you? Anyway, but I showed aptitude. And I spent 2 weeks studying Perl in a nutshell to learn Perl. But I knew I had programming fundamentals. So I knew how to program, but I just didn't know Perl. And that's what a lot of programming is. Anyway, I digress. My point is that job was all about writing scripts to automate the testing process for Symantec's IDS at the time. And I took those Perl skills to write tools to help automate other things I was doing. So when I left, my contract ended. Chad fired me. But my contract didn't actually, a bunch of stuff happened. They moved offices and locations and everything. But they cut the contracts. But my next job was in the banking industry, but cybersecurity. I ran cybersecurity for a bank. And I was using Perl scripts, little tiny Perl scripts, just to kind of automate some of these tools, like searching for, those of you that remember the bugbear virus, right? Financial virus. But I was writing tools to search for bugbear, little tiny tools, and to search for other financial institution viruses and things. And so I released them on back then. I don't think it was GitHub back then. It was something else. Anyway, I was releasing them and, got a lot of notoriety out there for writing these scripts and everything like that. So that's the point, is do things you like doing, do things you know how to do that help you. It starts with helping yourself first, and then release it to the community. Say, hey, this was helpful for me. I'm releasing it, open source and everything like that. So, do that kind of stuff. I mean, what did you do, Kevin? What kind of, I know that you got to play around with scripting and stuff like that and all this stuff. Like what kind of stuff that you did that you found helpful? Did you do? I can't speak English.
Working at the lab, it was just, I'd never really done much PowerShell scripting, right? I'd always just been using Bash and Linux or on Linux and stuff like that. So, or Python, just some basic programming stuff. But being at that lab and at U of H gave me the opportunity. Well, you have like this beautiful network setup with sequential IPs, and sometimes updating the computers took, it was just doing the same thing over and over. So it would be really nice if you could develop a script that would just RDP in or do whatever you needed to do. So I could just be sitting at the instructor's terminal and doing what I had to do in the rest of the lab. So that was one of them. Just RDPing into all 32 computers, or whichever one I chose to at any given time, and that was just to make my life easier. And then there was like just along that same vein, or before I did that, it was like I created like a notification script as well, but just pretty much to kick people out of the lab. Like, all right, 5 minutes left, guys, get out. Save your stuff and leave. But
did you release any of this? Did you release any of those out into the public?
No, I mean, I gave them over.
That's why you don't have a job.
Yep, that's why you're sitting here.
Into that.
Below us.
Into that.
You're
Yeah.
below us.
Exactly.
And by the way, Aaron is listening. It's SourceForge. That's what it was before GitHub was SourceForge. Yeah.
That's still around.
No, okay. But see, you should do that. You're still looking for a job because I still won't hire you. And no, I'm just kidding. No, we don't have, we're still, I will hire Kevin. And right now, if my budget comes in, but my budget hasn't come in yet. So it looks like now somebody's going to probably beat me to him. But anyway, so I'm putting this out there right now. Like, I'm going to hire Kevin as soon as my budget comes in if you don't snatch him up first. So I'm telling you, somebody, you should hire this guy because if you don't, I'm going to have an advantage over you. So
all right, I will hold y'all to that.
Well, I already told you this is my budget.
I know it, man.
But regardless, I'm not going to. Trust me, I am not going to slice your tires again if you go work for somebody else. I mean,
that was
Pascal,
you. That was you.
I put glue in his locks.
Well, that's only because I put sugar in his gas tank after he left ThreatGen. I'm still a little sore about that. I put sugar in his gas tank and a banana in his tailpipe. So, and I took a dump in his back seat. But we'll talk.
My Lord!
Good thing they were glued up then. But I got a question. So just your overall experience, because when I went to school, and I'm going to date myself, there was barely a cybersecurity presence in classes. But what's the experience like nowadays? Because you not only did you do security, you went into industrial security through your university. So that's kudos for the university, because that's nice. Yeah. On top of that, you had a fantastic way to start your networking and your brand exercises, right?
Yeah.
So what's that like nowadays when you go to school?
Great segue, because this is OT Exposed. So this is a perfect way to put on the segment for the last segment of the show. Go.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's tons of tools out there that my lab had, and that was part of the responsibility. I had to make sure all these tools and everything was readily accessible and available for all the students. So that just learning, how to work with there's some forensic tools at one point. There were all sorts of, practicing with Wireshark almost every day was really useful. But the SCADA lab itself was kind of off to the side. It took me a little bit to discover that part. But once I actually got in that lab, that's
you're hooked.
Yeah, they got me hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, that was more for the SCADA class and for some of the higher level students. But like I said, the networking, like learning networking, actually seeing using it in practice, there's great professors and all that want you to excel, want you to go check out this stuff. You just kind of have to go do it, But yeah, that's why I tell everyone in the new security lab crew, use this lab and really just run with it. Make it your own. You've got your work to do, and as any student, you have your work to do, but really just take advantage of all these toys, all of the equipment, the gear, the know-how, because it's all here. It's all out there. If you need books or anything, Conklin has a really great policy. Most professors do. They'll just lend you one of the books out of their extensive library and just go learn something. These are expensive books, industrial security, or any kind of programming, scripting. There's tons. So go check it out. But you really you have to ask.
I tell people all the time that OT, ICS, SCADA, industrial, whatever acronym, cybersecurity is a great place to get into because, quite frankly, the bar for cybersecurity right now is still set pretty low compared to enterprise IT security. But the extra thing that you do have to have for industrial cybersecurity is the industrial piece, right? And so that you get that experience when you go to these classes that have the OT or ICS wall and these cyber ranges, where you get hands-on experience with the equipment. Like, you got hands-on experience with some PLCs and downloading programs on those and PLC, the logic and all that. So that was really cool, right? And there's a lot of colleges and community colleges and universities out there that are doing that more and more. And doing that, you got to meet some industry professionals, right? So you got to meet Tom Van Norman, who owns ICS Village, as a part of, going into, I think they used the ICS Village there at University of Houston to help build the wall there. So you got to meet Tom Van Norman, who's known in the industry. I mean, Dr. Conklin himself is known in the ICS community. He's won awards for SANS and things like that. He, he's was it associate or interim or adjunct dean for Dragos's academy kind of thing or whatever. So, I mean, you get to meet a lot of people because the OT cybersecurity community actually is a lot smaller than the cybersecurity community at large, the overarching community. And so most of your high level professionals in OT cybersecurity, SCADA, ICS cybersecurity, they're a lot more approachable or a lot easier to gain access to. So, for example, you're probably not going to have an easy time or as easy of a time gaining personal access to have those conversations one-on-one with like HD Moore at, he's now with Rumble, but he created Metasploit, right? Whereas, it's pretty easy to approach and talk to people, like Rob Lee, at Dragos, Sam Van Ryder, Michael Farnham, who runs HughesCon, myself and Pascal, right? Other authors. It's this community is really accessible. So reach out. That's my biggest advice to anybody in this career that, first of all, if you're into cybersecurity and you want to get into cybersecurity as a career, or if you're already there and you want to advance your career, if you're not in ICS or OT, consider ICS and OT and reach out to us professionals that have been doing it for a long time and published authors. And we're here to help. We want to help. That's why we're doing this, right? I mean, that's how you and I met. So that's what we want to do. So reach out to us. And then also just in terms of, getting in, join the communities, go, like, it's kind of sounds funny, but join Beer ISAC, which is it's a cybersecurity community within the ICS and OT community. You join DC 713, DC 281, or whatever your local DEF CON group is, right? And everyone's really approachable. And when it comes to getting ICS knowledge, because like I said, one thing you have to have in the ICS or OT cybersecurity part is that industrial piece. There are tons of Udemy courses that will get you started in that, right? You don't have to go pay $7,000 for a course. You can pay $11, $12, $25 to get some of that PLC programming knowledge started, industrial lab knowledge started, right, on Udemy or something like that. So I'll stop there for
and it goes further than just being able to program this equipment, right? Because if you have a good understanding how just the process works, you don't even have to be able to go in and program a PLC. But if you just understand how process work, and that when there's an incident, you want to do incident response, for example, you don't go in and unplug every machine that's infected. You got to take good diligence. You got to take care that you don't unplug something that's critical to the infrastructure. But having that kind of insight in the industrial environment is also very valuable. So it doesn't just have to be a controls engineer who knows how to take apart and put back together a PLC with a soldering iron.
Yep, exactly. Like what are some of the things you got to do, industrial specific PLC wise and stuff like that, Kevin?
So at the lab at the SCADA lab, with the wall, we were, at first, I think we were experiencing some issues. So it was me and a small group of grad students. We were tasked with, pretty much just getting everything up and running and diagramming, documenting, collecting huge PCAP files and, essentially creating some study materials for other students to learn, okay, which machine is, or, which PLC is actually talking to the terminal over here, what's going on, and just dissecting everything, figuring out how to make the solenoids and actuators and all the pumps run and all that. So it was really cool. And then
I got a quick question before you continue. Are you allowed to share those PCAPs? Because that would be a good way to get a nice GitHub started. You filter out those PCAPs. You, for example, you say, hey, this PCAP is from a motion controller that we enabled, or this is upgrading a firmware on a PLC or whatever that is, and get them out there in a nicely ordered fashion. Because I don't know of many places who do that. There's a few of them, and we can share that in the show
there's
notes.
Always a lot of people out there looking for industrial PCAPs like that. And I know that when people used to do the CTF at S4, they would always share those or other CTF. So sharing industrial PCAPs is huge.
So I never considered sharing it, but I'd have to check with Dr. Conklin. I think that's still technically university property, so I don't know. But that's a good idea.
All right. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay.
Good stuff.
So then that was messing with the wall, and so like I said, we're capturing all sorts of event data. But then off to the side, I was, for my final master's project, I created a automated greenhouse watering system. So that was taking sensor input from a plant that, with a little water pump. So once it got too dry or whatever, water pump would start, water the plant. But it was all...
So you did that for your hydroponics in your closet, right?
No, I did that with a cactus that I really wanted to keep alive. So
that's cheating. That's cheating. You can't hardly kill a cactus.
That was a hardy little thing, but I really wanted it to stay alive. I didn't want to kill my nice plants.
I don't want to kill my plant. I'm going to get a rock.
Yeah.
I'm just going to slice it up and eat it.
No, that's so that. Wait, what? This stream is taking a B turn. We're taking a left-hand turn somewhere.
You know what? There is peyote in Albuquerque. So anyway, I mean, I heard. That's what I heard.
I don't stop every mile of the trip over there. Is this one? No. Is that one? No.
No, but he gets the mushrooms anyway. So, I remember Dr. Conklin threatening you jokingly, I think, whenever we were setting the red versus blue stuff up for the final exam. And I remember him talking to you about, like, it was right before you graduated, and he was kind of joking with you, if you ever get your project finished, and that's the project that.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, he was there every step of the way. That it was a journey,
hanging over you, looming over you, like a Dr. Conklin parade float. Just
that's because he cared.
No, he was actually really, he was not looming like that, but it was almost kind of scary. Like I had to be on top of it because he's like, I was actually kind of afar. I just check in with him every week and be like, yeah, we're making progress. We are almost done. Oh crap!
Well,
I broke something. Let me. Yeah.
But see, that's the perfect thing, right? You could take that project that you did and put that on your resume as experience.
Yep.
And ICS and OT and everything. I mean, that's a perfect example of how you put experience on a resume, even though it's not professionally hired work, right?
Yeah.
So that counts to me. That kind of stuff, right? And I'm a hiring manager. So you know what? We're at the bottom of the hour, and I got to go watch the rest of the Astros game because they're currently losing. I just checked. So anyway, we thanks for joining us, Kevin Flowers, recent graduate from University of Houston with a master's degree in cybersecurity. And we will continue to talk more about the cybersecurity workforce, hiring practices, and the career, supercharging your career. I know we've taken a sidestep from the actual kind of OT news and stuff like that, but these are the topics that people have wanted to hear, and so we're going to continue to do these, and we'll still like this episode we're able to kind of inject the OT piece because that's really a big part of what Kevin did at University of Houston in the labs. So we're not abandoning OT, but we are really right now, at least for the next few weeks, focusing on career development because it's a thing.
We want to help. That's what we want to do. We want to help, and this is helping.
That's what the show is for, right? It is. So we're gonna
go get a newspaper.
Well, but ultimately, the bottom line is we're gonna talk about what our viewers want us to talk about. No porn. So we're not going to talk about that.
No.
So, but some of our viewers, they're, anyway. All right. So, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you, Kevin, for being on the show. Thanks, I guess, Pascal, once again, always harassing me. And we'll see everybody. Oh, announcement. So we are, because we're getting towards the end of the year and things are getting busy. Instead of doing the show every single week, and I'll change the banner, we're actually going to start doing the show every other week. And I'll make sure throughout this week, I'm going to post a lot throughout this next week about we're that way people don't expect a show next week. And I'm going to change the banner and everything, but I'll make announcements. But just so everybody knows, we are doing the show every 2 weeks now instead of every 1 week. We may go back to every week, depending on probably maybe beginning of next year or when things kind of slow down. But we do have day jobs as well. So we'll see how it goes. But so we'll see you in 2 weeks from the date of this if you're watching recorded. If not, then we'll hopefully see you sometimes. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.